After spending the last 3 months parked up in one place, it feels so good to finally be back on the road. This week wasn't really about sightseeing or ticking off tourist destinations. It was more about easing back into bus life, letting Pepper get used to travelling and finding our rhythm again. But we did see some pretty cool things along the way. We didn't travel very far on the first day, just a couple of hours west to the little town of Leyburn. The campground was huge, plenty of room to spread out. It had rubbish bins, a dump point, a flushing toilet, and even free hot showers. The streets of Leyburn and the bush beside the creek gave us plenty of new options for our daily walks. Leyburn was a booming hub in the late 1800s after gold was discovered here, but these days there isn't much to see. Some of the old buildings remain, and information plaques dotted around the town tell the story of those that are now lost. For Pepper and I, it was a lovely spot to restart our journey. Although Pepper was not at all impressed with the strange animal doing laps of the neighbour's backyard. After 3 nights in Leyburn, it was time to move on, and we headed a little further west to the town of Inglewood. This little town had such a lovely vibe, with beautifully landscaped streets and artistic details. Inglewood is only a small town, but it has all the basic services: grocery stores, post office, butcher, bakery, newsagent, pub and other stores as well. We stayed at the free camp, which is right in town and within easy walking distance to everything. No amenities at the camp itself, but across the road there was a park with toilets and picnic tables. So there's a water filling station here. I personally wouldn't use this one though, because see this? Obviously that's too big for the bus, that's for like big trucks and things, but this connection here, unfortunately they've got this just ordinary garden hose attached to it, and it's a pretty permanent attachment. Like you would need serious wrenches to get that off. So there's nowhere to hook my drinking water hose up to that to fill my tanks, and this is just an ordinary garden hose, not drinking grade, and the end of it is just like dangling in the mud, so I wouldn't use that. So sorry Inglewood, you're not going to get my money for filling tanks here. There's a nice walking path that winds through the park along McIntyre Brook, with plaques incorporated into it describing various aspects of Inglewood's history. The path goes through a small olive grove, not something you'd expect to see in the middle of town. During the 1990s, the Inglewood district was identified as an ideal environment for the production of olives, and by 2002, over 300,000 trees had been planted. This little olive grove in town was established by the council to allow visitors to gain an appreciation of olive trees. So there's a little museum here in town that I want to check out today. It's dog friendly, so Pepper can come along as well. And it's a very short walk to the museum from the free camp in town. So we're just going to take a little bit of a stroll there now and check it out and see what it's like. The Inglewood Heritage Centre is open 7 days a week and is accessed by a self-serve card payment system. We're in. Okay, in we go. The first room inside the museum housed a very interesting exhibit focusing on the tobacco growing industry, which was a huge part of this region's history. The tobacco industry was booming throughout the early 1900s, but a devastating flood in 1956 wiped out most of the crops. And in subsequent years, inconsistent water supply led to a dramatic reduction in the quality of locally grown tobacco and the eventual demise of the industry here. There was also information about the various sheep and cattle stations that were established in the area, and collections of vintage items like this old wool press. This buggy was used to take members of the royal family around the Brisbane exhibition grounds in 1921. Well, it may be a small museum, but there's so much information here about the history of Inglewood and the people that have lived and worked here over the years. It's actually really interesting, well worth the $5 entry fee. So if you're stopping in Inglewood, definitely check out this little museum. I was actually originally thinking about staying another night here in Inglewood because, I mean, it's a free camp, so part of me thinks I should take advantage of that and just stick around and get some work done in a place where I don't have to pay for the site. Unfortunately though, it's really noisy here. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. There's a truck going past on the highway at the moment. The free camp here in town is, the free camp itself is a lovely little spot, nice grassy area beside the creek, but unfortunately it's right next to the Cunningham Highway, so there's a lot of traffic noise. And in addition to that, I think on the other side of the highway there must be an aerodrome or something, because every day that I've been here, for most of the day you can hear sort of the sound of what sounds like little biplanes or stunt planes or something circling around and going up and down across there, so that's quite noisy as well. And the other thing that creates noise here is just across the creek there's a flying fox colony, so they're chattering away and making noise all day, so it's not really the best place to get work done. I can't really record voiceovers for my videos or anything like that, so I'm thinking we probably will hit the road tomorrow and move on a little bit earlier than I originally planned. There isn't much else to see here in Inglewood anyway, so I think we will stay here again tonight and then pack up and hit the road again in the morning. The next day we drove another 40 kilometres west to the little town of Yelarbon. Driving in this way you can't miss the stunning artwork painted on the town's silos. You know, I've seen heaps of photos of silo art on social media, but this is actually the first time I've seen art like this in real life, and honestly it really is amazing and really beautiful. Seeing the silos up close like this, you can't help but be impressed by the sheer scale of this incredible artwork. I am really looking forward to seeing more of these on our travels. Pepper, of course, is totally oblivious to the artwork and has her own version of sightseeing. We stayed at the Yelarbon Recreation Ground, which is a paid campground. I camped in the unpowered section, which was $15 a night. Pretty good value when you consider I was able to hook up to water. The amenities and grounds were nice and clean. There were toilets, showers, and even a little laundry. It was a lovely quiet spot to stop for a few days. There's very little to see in Yelarbon itself. There's a roadhouse that sells fuel and standard roadside snacks, but nowhere to buy groceries. There's a post office that is open a few days each week, but most of the other shops were closed down, which was a bit sad. At one end of town, there's a collection of metal animal silhouettes and a plaque marking the location of the last fence post at the end of the original dingo fence. The dingo fence was constructed in the 1880s to keep dingoes away from farmlands in southeastern Australia. At 8,320 kilometres long, it was the longest fence in the world. I never realised that the dingo fence was so big, but you can see on this map it stretched all the way from the Great Australian Bight up into like North Queensland and then back down and finished here in Yelarbon. Pretty amazing. Across the street from the campground was the Yelarbon Lagoon. It was teeming with bird life and was a lovely peaceful spot to stroll around. One walking track I really wanted to check out was the Desert Jewels Walk, which was located across the highway from the campground. The main tracks leading into there provided some lovely morning walks for Pepper and I through the low-lying desert country dotted with waterholes. But unfortunately, we had to abandon our attempts to walk the Desert Jewels Walk itself. This is actually the start of the Desert Jewels Walk. You can see the narrow little track that goes off through there, and they've got these signs along the way explaining the different fauna and flora. It's quite interesting, but the problem is the track's very narrow and there are so many prickles. Like, it was just horrible for Pepper. So fortunately though, this main track is like this, so much easier for her to walk on, much easier to stay like on the track and away from the prickles. So definitely recommend doing this walk. But yeah, maybe avoid the Desert Jewels Walk if you've got a pooch, unless they've got boots or something to protect their feet. Well guys, we are leaving Yelarbon today. We've actually been here for 5 nights. It was such a nice place to stop for a little while, and yeah, I can't believe it's been well over a week now that we've been back on the road. It's just gone so quickly. We're slowly getting back into the routines. I think Pepper's starting to settle back into travel. What do you think, puppy? She still doesn't like travel days, so she's not really happy this morning, but yeah, she's going okay. And yeah, I'm slowly getting used to filming again. I'm a bit out of practice being in front of the camera, so I'm sorry there was a lot of voiceover in this video, but I am sort of starting to get back in the habit, so hopefully that'll improve over the next couple of videos. But yes, as I said, we're leaving Yelarbon today. I probably would have happily stayed here another couple of days. It's just so nice, but I actually have mail waiting for me at the post office in the next town, so I've got to go and collect that. We're going to head off there today, and we will see you in next week's video.